All right, we're back from our break now, and it's time for the Nox Archaist updates from the 6502 workshop with Chris Torrence, Mark Lemmert, and Jarrod Kailef. Excuse me. So, go ahead, guys. You're on.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve, and thanks, Chris and Jarrod, for the sound check. Hello and welcome. I'm Mark Lemmert, founder and lead developer of the Nox Archaist project, an 8-bit RPG for the Apple II, whose mission it is to see what might have happened if development on RPGs had continued on the Apple II past the end of the 1980s. We've been working on the project for about 5 years now, and last year we did a successful Kickstarter to raise funds to produce a box collector's edition of the game, complete with cloth map, printed manual, and a bunch of feelies. We're actually in final testing right now and are really just a couple months from release, so we're really excited about that. My teammate Jarrod Kailef and I are going to boot up Nox Archaist today and give you a sneak peek at how the game starts and some of the gameplay. And Chris Torrence is going to show you the feelies for the game. All right, Jarrod, can you take it away?
Absolutely. So, well, first of all, since I was a kid and first played Ultima 4, I wanted to write a tile-based Apple II RPG, but I never got the chance. I turned 16 in 1990, and so by the time I was old enough, the market for Apple II games wasn't exactly booming, which is one of the reasons I'm so happy that there's a resurgence today. I've never been to KansasFest, but I'm happy to be attending virtually today, but you can be sure that I'll be wanting to attend it in real life as soon as that's feasible anyway. Anyhow, working with 6502 Workshop and being a part of a Nox Archaist team has really been a dream come true for me because of my strong desire to write a tile-based RPG, you know, similar to the Ultima games that I loved as a kid. Some of the people on our team are really amazing, and I'm humbled to be learning from them. So, while there was a number of different tasks, such as game development and such, that I've been involved with, what I'm here to talk to you about in my section is vocals. Vocals? Certainly not what you'd expect to discuss with regard to an Apple II game, right? Well, some of you might recognize my voice from the Kickstarter video. What was once old is new again. Right? So I did all the vocals for that video, and I've done a variety of other voiceovers for retro computing related Kickstarters as well. On that note, I normally charge for my voice work, but for retro computing and retro gaming projects and the community in general, I donate my time for free. So look me up on the KansasFest Discord if you happen to need something. I'd be happy to lend you my voice. Anyway, enough of that. Let's move on to the heart of my portion of the presentation. Let's talk about 5-bit pulse width modulation. About 2.5 years ago, give or take, I talked to Dr. Cat, whom some of you likely know from his close association with the Ultima series. He was a bit standoffish about the project at first, and, well, I guess for good reason. Many video game Kickstarters have historically not turned out nearly as well as advertised. However, as time passed and he became more convinced of the quality of our game, he was more interested in contributing. Something Dr. Cat always wanted to do was put his 5-bit pulse width modulation into an Apple II game. He did create something as a proof of concept, and if I remember correctly, it was published in an issue of Soft Disk magazine. Mark, am I remembering that? It was Soft? Yeah, it was published in Soft Disk, which is cool. But it never did get into a commercial box game. His 5-bit PWM was a method of digitizing audio on an 8-bit Apple II with audio quality close to what a modern PC can produce. Dr. Cat worked with us to implement it, but none of the coders on our team really had experience with this sort of thing, and we were kind of pressed for time, so it was challenging for us, and we weren't certain that we'd be able to do it. However, Chris Kenaway, whom some of you might know, came to our rescue in that regard, as his work with streaming on an Apple II used the same methodology that Dr. Cat had pioneered those many years ago. So we started by digitizing some drum beats. And while they sounded neat, they didn't really exemplify the fidelity that we were able to achieve with this technology. So, to paraphrase the late, great Silas Warner, I went to my studio one fine day and spent several hours in front of the microphone saying, "Nox Archaist." The Apple II is quite unforgiving with regard to this process, by the way. But I think in the end, we ended up with a great result. What I'm going to do now is switch my camera over to my Vid HD, which is feeding from my Apple II on the desk beside me, and we'll boot the game up so you can hear the fruits of our labor, and then I'll pilot the game briefly while Mark Lemmert directs us through the game's introduction. All right, so this is on real Apple IIe, booting up right now.
Nox Archaist.
Here's some Mockingbird music by Digital Moo.
Converted by Eric Rangel, running on Mockingbird driver, written by originally Tom Porter, and then optimized and somewhat re-architected by Kukumba.
Yeah, lots of people involved. That's the thing that I was saying. There's so many people involved in this project that know so much more than me. I feel like I get better at this stuff every day that I'm involved. It's really cool. Yeah, I really wanted to wait through that. It seems criminal to interrupt the song before it's over, you see. All right.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that introduction, Jarrod. I just want to, at this time, give some more complete acknowledgments for the contributors to the splash screen. I wrote the Nox Archaist game engine, but really was not involved in the technology side of the splash screen development, just the project management side. And the credit for the programming and otherwise development goes to Michael Presky, Bill Gigi, Kukumba, Dr. Cat, Chris Kenaway, Eric Rangel, Tom Porter, Chris Torrence, Electric Moo, and Jarrod Kailef. Thank you very much, guys. I am really, really thrilled at how it turned out, and so proud to have your work in Nox Archaist. And then when you're ready, Jarrod, let's show the folks some gameplay and select the Start New Game option from the main menu.
I forgot how big this list of contributors was. All right, here we go.
So what we're going to show here is our streamlined character creation process, which is intended to be in recognition of people's limited time. We didn't want players to have to spend 20 minutes to an hour rolling and re-rolling characters to get started in the game. So there's just 3 simple questions: name, gender, and race. There's 3 options for gender: male, female, and other. Race, I believe it's human, elf, dwarf, halfling, dark elf. Might have missed one there. Oh, Jared's got the list. So that choosing the race will give you a small skill bonus in a particular area. And that's it. Then you can get started in the game. And this is a kind of a little bit of a brief story primer that's presented here. There's more like a 4 or 5 page game story introduction in the printed manual or the PDF version of that manual as well. And this is just here for convenience for players who maybe didn't have time to read the manual. If they want to take a look at a couple screens of text, this gives kind of the upshot, setting the stage for the game. And also, I'll note that while you only create 1 character at the start of the game, you can have 6 characters in your party in total. The other 5 characters you find along the way. There's NPCs, over a dozen NPCs who will join you if you ask them, or some might offer. And you can have up to 6 total in your party. So the game starts here on a shipwreck. Why you start on a shipwreck? Well, that's explained by the game story primer. And this is basically like a kind of a in-game tutorial area. And if Jarrod, you want to move a little bit to the east, we'll show the first tutorial pop-up window, which there's a series of these in the start area to basically give the player the opportunity to get the hang of the basic controls, especially for anyone who hasn't played a game like Ultima or other tile-based RPGs before. If you have played those kinds of games before, you'll feel right at home. We didn't do anything crazy with the key sequences. It's pretty much very similar to those other classic games. So Jarrod, when you're ready, go ahead and open the door.
So I hit O and push the up arrow. That pops that door open.
And then go ahead to the north. And so now we've got another tutorial pop-up that's basically just presenting the basics of combat. A to attack, C to cast spell, and some mention of selecting a target, which we'll actually see when we get into combat with these rats here, the very first battle of the game. So let's go ahead and do that. There's a quick and a tactical combat option, again, for those that want to save time. There's the quick combat. The game is really designed more for tactical combat, so we did not, it wasn't that it was a quick combat game with tactical combat added, it was the other way around. So anyone who likes tactical combat in these games will be right at home. So let's go ahead and get into the battle. Press T for tactical. And this battle is pretty much impossible to lose, or at least very difficult, because it's really intended for the player to get the hang of the controls. So why don't you go ahead and do that, Jarrod, win the battle. And
you got it. So I can move around with the arrow keys just like what you might expect in other tile-based games. And as soon as I get close enough to him, I can hit A, and notice it automatically targets the closest enemy. That's kind of handy, so you don't have to do that every time. And then I hit Enter to attack. Let's see if I'm powerful enough to destroy rats.
Now, if there were multiple enemies on the screen, you can use the arrow keys to move that target selector between them.
Which, by the way, what's interesting too is if there were multiple enemies, using the arrow keys moves directly between the enemies, so you don't have to put your target. You don't have to move your target specifically all the way up and to the right. If someone's fleeing, it'll jump to that target for you automatically. But anyway, let's vanquish these rats, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right. Nothing found. How sad.
Now, Jarrod, it looks like he has our all-white font enabled. If you want to go ahead and go up the ladder, Jarrod, one talking about the font. So we have a white decorated font, which Jarrod has enabled, and also a multicolored rainbow font that will look like a lot of classic Apple II games. And you can actually switch between the fonts via the game settings menu. We're not going to show that today, but just letting everyone know that option is there. It's a two-font game. So why don't you go ahead and walk to the west. And this is another tutorial pop-up explaining basically how to talk to an NPC, which is as simple as walking next to the NPC and pressing T to talk. And then you can type in name, job, or any capitalized keyword to that. That's basically how you ask the NPC a question. So let's go ahead and do that.
So hit T, push the left arrow.
And the NPC pirate is just basically kind of injecting a little bit more of the story here, and he mentions that we're shipwrecked. Shipwrecked is all capitalized, so we can type in shipwrecked, and he'll elaborate on that. And so here the pirate gives us a mention about the captain's log, maybe having some more information. I believe the pirate also mistook our player here as one of the crew, so he's more than happy to spill the beans And if we ask him about log, he'll probably give us some clues about where the log is. So after calling us a swabby, he
Gee, thanks, buddy.
that the log might be hidden in the bookshelf or the chest in this room or in the dresser in the captain's quarters. So here we are shamelessly trying to suggest to the player that throughout the game, bookshelves, chests, and dresser drawers may be good places to search to find things. So let's just quick go through that, Jarrod. Walk over the bookshelf and search, then search the chest.
No, we went past that help screen, but it tells you how to search, which is with the S key.
To search.
Yeah.
Gives that tip. So we found Magic Missile. That is the first level spell of the game. Let's do the chest.
Ooh, lockpicking. I don't know how many picks we have. Oh, 10 gold.
I made sure it was enough for that chest. I actually wrote some hard code to make sure that chest failed once and opened on the second try to give the player the experience. It doesn't do something, frustrating like running out of lockpicks before you learn how to buy lockpicks. But the training wheels come off after the. Actually, I should say that in general, for those looking for old school difficulty in RPGs, don't worry, it's here. The game has a soft start to it, but the difficulty will progress, and that old school experience on the challenging side is definitely going to be here. So let's go through the door, and going to take a slightly different path than we did before, Jarrod. There's tutorial prompts that basically prompt the player to go into the captain's quarters and to find the log. But we're going to just exit the ship now, go to the south. It gives us a final little tutorial pop-up suggesting that Irene, the pub keeper in a town nearby, might know something about the cult. So that's basically giving the player, for players who are in this for the story, they care about the story, this is making it real easy for the player to pick up the main storyline by saying, here's who you go talk to. We're going to go ahead and exit the ship. And we're now outside of the shipwreck, and the water is pretty shallow here, so we can actually wade through it. So let's walk over to the land there. And we're wading through the water. You can also swim in deeper water, though you can also drown. So what I wanted to show here, instead of the captain's quarters, was to go into the town and just show a little bit more of the Mockingbird music for anyone who hasn't experienced that yet. And this is basically the way the game works. The music doesn't play constantly. It's used to set the tone when the scene changes. So if you enter a town or a castle, you're going to get probably 10 to 30 seconds of music. If you enter a dungeon, you'll get another burst of music. You go into combat, there's another burst of music, and there's different tracks for different themes. Towns have different tracks than castles. Dungeons have different tracks to again just really kind of set the tone. This is one of the longer ones, if I recall, and there it finished up. So. That is all the gameplay that we're going to show today. Hope that gives you some feel for what the game is like. And Chris is going to take it over from here and give us all a look, or another look for those that may have seen them before, at the feelies. But I think there's one or two feelies we haven't shown yet that he's going to show today, like the coin. Take it away, Chris.
Thank you, Mark. Hopefully everybody can hear me. And
I can hear you.
Great. This is the first time I actually get to spotlight myself here, so this is excellent. So I just wanted to show the Nox Archaist physical item headquarters here in Colorado. So some of the physical items that we have available, and these are all, they were originally offered as part of the Kickstarter, but you can also do a pre-order and get any of these items as well. Just go to noxarchaist.com. So we have the physical box itself. So this is game box here. There's the front and the back of that. And then along with that, we have a game manual. And I am going to purposely not show you the front of it. The front cover art was actually done by Dennis Loubet, and we're keeping that as a kind of under wraps until the actual game release. Here's the back of it, though, where you have a quick reference of all of your keyboard commands. That makes it easy. So throughout the manual, there's all sorts of artwork. The manual right now is over 100 pages long, so there's lots of background, instructions, a list of spells and monsters in the game, as well as an appendix with all of the armor and weapons and spells in that. So you can see that, and then let me flip to some other art. So we have some full page art there, and a lot of the artwork in here was done by Gordon Mackay, who also did the art for the box cover as well as the map itself. And then we also had a lot of art done by some of our backers. So we had a few backers of the Kickstarter who actually submitted some artwork as well, and I'll show one of those right now. So here is poor Betsy Lou the cow, who is about to be eaten by a giant spider there.
Well, we assume it might be a tougher cow than you think.
This is very true, yes. Well, actually, the Widow Myrtle, whose cow it is, actually, she's a pretty tough cookie herself. So that's the game box and the manual. So inside the box, you'll get 4 floppy disks that actually have the game itself. So these are double-sided disks. And so these will contain the game. And then if you don't happen to have Apple II hardware to play on, or even if you do and you want to play on, rather than using floppy disks, we're also going to include a USB stick, which has the game as a disk image. And you can use this either in one of the floppy disk emulators on real Apple II hardware, or you could use this in one of the emulators for the either Mac or Windows, as well as presumably Linux as well. So that's that. We also have some other feelies in the game. So you'll get a postcard which contains some information that can help you in the game. That's just a little teaser there. You also have your writ from the Queen, which has a wax seal on it. And this just gives you permission to actually walk around carrying weapons and killing monsters.
For those that don't want to open the envelope or break the wax seal, now you've seen what it actually looks like.
Yes, that is true. That is true.
Sorry to interrupt, Chris.
No, that's fine. Depending on which version of the set you get, you'll either get a paper map, or with the collector's edition, you get a cloth map. So here's the map itself. And then finally, again, depending on whether you get the boxed set or the collector's edition, we have a coin of the realm. Let me see if I can hold that up. So that is that. And you can see this is a very
I love that thing. I absolutely
coin.
love that thing.
The box itself was incredibly heavy when it showed up on my doorstep. And then finally, you have a magic crystal as well in the box. So I think that's it for the reward items. So Mark, if you want to take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Chris, for showing that. And Jarrod, thanks for piloting through the game and talking to us about the audio. So before we go to questions, there's just 2 things that I'd like to mention. One is that, not to bury the lead here, but Richard Garriott has given us his blessing to have Lord British be an NPC in the game. So Ultima fans will feel right at home. And I also wanted to mention that we still have pre-order discounted bundles available at our website, noxarchaist.com or 6502workshop.com, if that's easier to spell. And that was all I had to say. So if there's any questions, be happy to field them.
Mark, can Lord British be killed?
Well, in some games, he was not supposed to be able to be killed, but he could. I believe there's some where he wasn't able to be killed by any known way, and then there were some where there were Easter eggs as a way for him to be killed. So I have said all along, it is a mystery. You're going to have to play Nox Archaist and find out, and take your best shot.
Mark, any more news about the 2GS version beyond what Becky talked about yesterday?
Not really, but just to put my own words on it, I'll say that we're absolutely excited for Burger Becky to be taking the lead, really driving that effort. I don't know the 2GS, so I mean, quite candidly, I don't think the project would be happening without her. And we don't have any particular timeline on it. We're focused on getting the 8-bit release out, and when that's done, we'll regroup and consider future projects. One thing we'll emphasize is that she's going to be doing it in her spare time, of course. So it may require some patience from all of us. Not that Nox Archaist hasn't over the last 5 years, but I appreciate, and I'm sure she'll appreciate your patience as all that comes together.
Mark, can I put you on the spot?
Of course.
Ooh.
I am sitting right on the spot. I'm already on the spot.
Excellent. And is there, besides Lord British, is there anybody else in the game that we would recognize?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Excellent.
I would even go so far as to say very much yes, but I won't say anything else.
Not a singular yes.
So James had a question about whether this is a limited edition in terms of the physical boxed sets.
There was a limited edition that was part of the Kickstarter, which did sell out, and there will not be any more of those limited editions made. The collector's box that's currently available on pre-order, that's not a specifically, I should say it's not a numbered limited edition like was in the Kickstarter. There's no guarantee that the collector's box or any box set will be available forever. We bought a certain number of extras, if you will, because the Kickstarter went well, and when those run out, we may do another run. We might not. It depends on interest, depends on our, where we are in our lives, and if we're able to muster the effort. So if you're interested, I definitely encourage you to get one, while they're available.
And if you're curious, this is what my basement looks like right now with all of the boxes in there. So that gives you a view. How many
the
we
Nox
have?
Archaist assembly line operated out of the Assembly Lines podcast, or something like. There's a joke in there somewhere.
Bite Knight asks if there will be any sort of hint book.
That is on the list of future projects under consideration. I think that a hint book may well be helpful because Nox Archaist definitely is a challenging game. But whether that will happen for sure or when it will happen, that's all to be determined.
Cool.
1 minute.
And sorry, go ahead, Jared. There's a question about open source.
What's the question? I'm sorry, I don't see it.
Will it be open source?
Oh, someday. I think that that would be consistent with my original intentions in starting the project, but I don't have a timeline on that. But that's a very good question.
I think we're probably actually out of time, so we should wrap it up and continue on the Discord.
Great. Well, I will jump in the Discord and be happy to answer any other questions anyone may have.
All right. Thank you all for that great talk about the new game.